So now we've seen Boro's return list for this season, we can now take a deep dive look into Boro's squad, which is what I've wanted to do for a number of weeks. And now we know we're going to be in the Championship again next season. It's safe to say the work that needs doing in this squad is absolutely huge. What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel, and today, as I say, we're going to be looking at where Boro need to make signings next season, building a bit of a shopping list, you could say, for what Boro's recruitment are going to have to do in the summer. And spoiler, they're going to be very, very busy. We're going to go through it position by position and looking at where we need to bring in players. We'll have a little look at the players who are out on loan and who I'd bring back, who I wouldn't, as well as, of course, discussing the players who may or may not be released as yet in the case of Johnny Howson. So let's start from the back and begin with the goalkeeper. Now, of course, the goalkeeping position with Boro has been a big issue this season. I mean, what positions haven't been? But of course, it has been reported that none of the loanees are likely to be back at Boro at this point. Unfortunately, devastatingly, that includes Mark Travers, who looks like he will not be returning to Boro permanently, down to the wages and just how expensive of a player he probably is to not only buy but also pay wages for. And he was a game changer, as we all know. This season, the standard of goalkeeper went up massively when we brought Mark Travers in. And without him, we are left with Seny Dieng, Tom Glover and Sol Brynn. And out of the three, I only really have faith in Sol Brynn being a decent goalkeeper. I mean, even being number one is a bit of a stretch at this moment in time, because although he had a decent run with us before he got unfortunately injured last season, he is still young and his experience at championship level still isn't great. And I just feel like now we've had a goalkeeper like Mark Travers, who was top 3 in the league for shot save percentage. Can we put all of our faith in Sol Brynn? I'm not sure. I still think he would be a more than solid number 2. So I would look to bring in a brand new goalkeeper in the summer, one that is predominantly a great shot stopper with Sol Brynn breathing down his neck. It's then down to whether Tom Glover wants to stay as a third choice goalkeeper. I think he's more suited to that than Seny Dieng, who will definitely not want to be a third choice goalkeeper. So in an ideal world, a new goalkeeper, Brynn as a second, Glover as a third, and I would sell Seny Dieng in the summer because unfortunately he's just not been anywhere near good enough. Looking at the centre-backs then, we'll pair these two together. Boro don't have a bad number of centre-backs in terms of quantity, but quality I still think needs to be questioned. Now, I have greyed out Rav van den Berg, as I still believe there is a chance he might get sold this summer. If you'd have asked me 12 months ago, I'd have been sure that he wouldn't be here past this summer, but he could be. You know, he didn't have the best of seasons last year, Rav, and his availability has been a big issue, and that's my main point around Boro's centre-halves. Availability has been a huge problem. I still don't feel like Edmondson is good enough to be a playoff-chasing centre-half. Dale Fry, I'm not too sure on. I think the only defender I'd happily bring back in and be comfortable with is Darragh Lenihan, but he's had an injury that's been had him out for 2 years at this point now, so you've got to ask, will he ever be the same player? The physical and mental toll that will take on a player to recover from it could be difficult. And other than that, you've got Neto Borges, who you could count as a sort of revelation at left centre-half, and he's definitely a player I would much rather play there than at left-back, where he hasn't looked as good. So I still would like Boro to look at bringing in a centre-back or two. I think paired with the fact that a lot of the centre-halves we have I don't think are quite good enough, a lot of them are also never fit. You know, can I hang my hat on Rav van den Berg, Darragh Lenihan, Dale Fry and George Edmondson all playing 35 plus games for Boro? No, not one of them at all. And what this team needs is a good spine and a solid centre-back partnership that it can at least be together for the majority of the season. And we're not going to get that with any of the centre-backs we have available. Looking at left-back then, this is again another position that needs work. We've lost Giles, of course, who didn't pull up any trees in his second spell at Boro. And of course, Illing Jr., who I don't think was meant to be a left-back when he was brought in, won't be here either. So we're left with Borges and Bangura, as I've just alluded to. Borges I would much prefer at left centre-half. You're then left with just Alex Bangura, who, like Lenihan, has come off the back of a really, really tough injury, and you question how hard or how long will it take him to get going again in the new season when he does come back. So I don't think you can just rely on Bangura. I think that's too tough of an ask for him at this point. So then you're left with just Borges, who I don't really rate there either. So another position where Boro need cover, we need work. It depends what Carrick wants from his left back. It depends if Carrick's even here. If he is here, he'll want a left back who can offer width and offensive output. If he's not, we might need another left back who's maybe a bit more defensively solid. So this position might determine massively on what the manager wants and who is the manager at the time. But it's another position where Boro need work. Moving across to right back, you won't be surprised. It's another position that needs work because now we have confirmation that Anthony Dijksteel has been let go. Of course, Tommy Smith retired last season, which means Luke Ayling is currently our only senior right back. We do have Josh Dede, who we signed from Celtic, but I don't really want to put my hopes on him being in the squad. I can't say for certain whether he'll be involved or whether the hierarchy or the first team coaches think he'll be ready. So at the minute, I can only really say for sure that we've got Luke Ayling in that position. And I think we saw from last season, he's not quite the player he was. He's in his mid-30s near enough. And I think Boro just need a much younger, more dynamic right back in that position who can deal better with a lot of the top left wingers that they'll face in this league, and also one that will stay fit because it's another position where Boro have suffered with injuries. So I think you don't need just one. I think you need two right backs in that position. So already we're looking at a goalkeeper, one or two centre-halves, a left-back and maybe two right-backs. And that's just Boro's defence. A huge overhaul's needed there. And then we move in to the midfield. Now in Boro's midfield, I think the only player who's definitely going to be gone is Hayden Hackney. I'd be astounded if he's still here next season. He's been chased by numerous Premier League clubs over the last couple of years, and I think now is the right time for him to step up. He's ready, and I think Boro can get a really big fee for him. Howson is the only other one that we're unsure. Now, I've grayed him out on the graphic, but my gut feeling tells me he will be offered a new deal, and I think the reason why is, as I've just mentioned, the lack of availability at centre-half. Howson's played there way more than what he should have towards the end of this season. Also in midfield, there's a lot of work that's going to need doing there as well. I've got McCabe on there. I think now is the season for him to step into the first team. If he doesn't this season, I don't think he ever will. I think he is a Hackney-like regen, if you want to talk in football manager terms, albeit, I still wouldn't throw him in at any stretch going into next season. So we still need to replace Hayden Hackney. Howson might be there. Morris is probably one of the only few absolute starters going into next season. But I think we also have to upgrade Dan Barlaser. There was talks of him leaving at numerous points last season. I don't think he's good enough at all for Boro being a top six chasing side. And plus, I don't think he suits Boro's style of play either. I don't think he's got the strength or agility that Boro's midfielders need to play in the centre of midfield. So it's just been a signing that hasn't worked. So again, we're probably going to lose Hackney. We're probably going to upgrade Barlaser. You're looking at probably a midfielder or two in them positions as well. And then we look at the wings. Now, I've paired both sides together because for me, I think we need to just change the way we play on either side. And that is that we need width and pace. Because the one big thing that kneecapped this side in the second half of last season was the fact that we just played so narrow and we were so slow and so predictable. That losing Doak was, of course, a huge blow. But we haven't exactly got pace on the left-hand side either that can offer us width. The players that Carrick's utilised on his left-hand side have always inverted. That's always, I guess, been to have the left-back overlap. But as I say, we've not really had much joy at left-back either. He did try Ayling Jr. out wide on the final day. But I would like Boro to just sack off this idea of having an overlapping left-back. Have a solid back four who are just good at defending and let your wingers provide the pace and width from both sides. If I see another inverted winger walk through the doors at Rockcliffe this summer, I don't know what I'm going to do. I think my head will fall off. I'm sick of seeing inverted wingers. I'm sick of seeing players cutting inside, running into each other's spaces, making Boro narrow. We need pace. We need width. Now on the right, Morgan Whittaker pretty much epitomises the sort of player I've just said I do not want in this team. So I don't know where he's going to fit in terms of Boro's right-hand side. I think if he can maybe offer us something different, he could be an option, but primarily I want another Ben Doak. Now, I'm not expecting to get another Ben Doak, but I would like someone like him who has pace, is direct on that right-hand side, stretching the opposition's defence. We saw how well that worked with Finn Azaz alongside him last season. Of course, it allowed for Finn Azaz to have so much more space in that central area. So yeah, that's my main focus on both sides, on the right especially. Don't know what's going to happen with Whittaker. I don't know where he fits, and Marcus Forss hasn't had a great season either, and is another player who suffers with injuries. You can say the same on the left-hand side with Riley McGree, who's never fit, and I wouldn't trust to be fit next season either. The only other option there is Delano Bergsog, who, as I say, is hit and miss at best, and is also an inverted winger. So I'd sack it off, and I'd just have width, pace, out-and-out wingers down Boro's left and down Boro's right. Now, in the central area, I think we're all right. I do. Unbelievably, it's one of the few areas where I think we're okay, and that's only because we need to play Finn Azaz there. No more of this experiment of putting him out on the left and trying to force in some sort of shadow, Tubarak Pomesque like shadow striker in behind Conway. It didn't work with Iheanacho. It didn't work when Conway was moved there. Sack it off. Put Azaz in his best position, in the centre, behind the striker, not on the left-hand side. That will allow him to do his thing centrally. And as I mentioned, you can then have two players who have width either side of him. If they pull the fullbacks back, if they drag the fullbacks out of position using that width, it will allow Finn Azaz to have so much space to do his thing. Because when he's got inverted wingers from both sides coming central towards him, he's got no space to operate in. So if wingers, out-and-out wingers, can pull and stretch the opposition's defence, Finn Azaz will have more room to do his thing. Play him in the 10, and maybe that's the only other place we can see Morgan Whittaker thrive as well. Maybe him and Azaz can compete for that position as well, because we still do need competition for Finn Azaz when he isn't on it, because we do rely on him massively, and there is a huge drop-off when he's not in the team and not playing well. And then up front, I think we just need depth, to be honest with you. I am more than happy with Tommy Conway. I think he will continue to improve, and I think he will edge more towards getting 20 goals a season for his next year, but I do feel like he needs competition, and maybe a Latilath-like competition as well. I don't think we'll get a player as good as Conway, because I think he will have that shirt, but I think if we can bring in a player who is from abroad or is from League One, or someone who can make the step up, won't have to fully be reliant on scoring the goals every single week, but can give us a different option and maybe push Conway for that position, I think that would certainly work. And maybe Marcus Forss can compete there as well, although Carrick's never seemingly been all that for Marcus Forss being an out-and-out striker. So a bit like the 10 in behind him with Azaz, I'm quite happy with the player we've got starting in that position next season. But again, like Azaz, I'd certainly like some depth behind him. And finally, taking a look at the 5 primary loanees who have been out this season and at their respective clubs. Now, of the 5, I'd only have one back, and that's Alex Gilbert. And the reason why is I see potential in him with how we play. I see him in a similar mould to Finn Azaz. He's a decent player on the ball. He's technically good, which I think you need in that position. He's got a good pass on him as well, and I think we've seen glimpses of what he can do at the club. So he's not been away for all that long. I still feel like he's got a future here. I'd keep Alex Gilbert and bring him in. The other 4, though, I'd let go. I think Micah Hamilton, I think he'll be loaned again. I wouldn't sell him at this point. I think he definitely needs a second chance at a loan club because he's barely played for Stockport at all and hasn't seemingly done all that well when he's played. Lucas Engel, the future might depend on if we bring in another left back. If we can't bring in another left back, we might be forced to bring Lucas Engel back in, but I think Boro will certainly be looking at alternatives, which means that might open the door for a permanent exit for Lucas Engel. Same for Josh Coburn. I just don't think he fits. I don't think he fits Boro's setup. I think Carrick likes busy, pacey strikers. Your Cameron Archers, your Latilaths. Josh Coburn just doesn't fit. I know he would give us a different option, but I don't think it's one that fits in Boro's system. And I think you look at Millwall, they are the exact type of team that Josh Coburn slots perfectly into, and I think they're probably keen on bringing him in as well. So I'd make a sale on Josh Coburn there to get some money in to reinvest elsewhere. And Sammy Silvera is in a similar sort of position. He's had 2 loan spells now since he's been at the Boro, and he's not really pulled up trees at either. He didn't really do much at Portsmouth in the Championship. He dropped down into League One, played for Blackpool, didn't really do much there either. So I'd be very surprised if Boro see him as good enough to come back in to the fold in the summer. I think we've had, 2 unsuccessful loan spells in England now. Will there be a third? Maybe. But I think if Boro have the chance to cash in on Sammy Silvera, I think we will in the summer. So then, finishing off with the shopping list. Good God, Kieran Scott, I hope you've got a big wallet, cause it is a big one. So, a new number 1 goalkeeper is a must. More reliable centre-backs, I would say. A backup left-back, potentially, for Borges, Bangura, or maybe a starting left-back. A younger right-back, definitely one that offers us more dynamism, one that stays fit more often as well. That's an area of the pitch that needs massive, massive work. A Hackney replacement is paramount. I don't think we'll get a direct Hackney replacement because I think he's too good for this level, and a Hackney replacement would cost us a fortune, but someone who can step in to hopefully play in that position. Potentially a Howson replacement, we'll wait and see, but I definitely would upgrade Dan Barlaser on the other side. Width and pace on the wings on both sides for me. No more inverted wingers, no more playing inverted at all, and a backup for Azaz and a backup for Tommy Conway. So that just gives you an idea of how busy Boro's summer is going to be. A lot of players probably leaving, a lot of players coming in. I do think we will have some of the Latte money to spend from January, paired with the money that I think we will likely make off of Hayden Hackney. So I hope Boro will have the ability to fill in a lot of these positions, but I would like us to maybe lean away from going down the buying low, selling high, getting players with potential route. I think this squad just needs as much of a soft touch, essentially. So, let me know your thoughts with Boro's potential summer window in the comments and the areas of the team that you would like Boro to improve on. And of course, we will keep an eye on all of that good stuff as and when it happens throughout the summer. And I'll be doing videos and content on all of that throughout the summer as well. So do keep your eyes open for that and subscribe if you haven't already. But until next time, guys, hit a like on the video. It really helps support the video and the channel out. But until next time, guys, do take care and I'll see you all in the next one.